extra point from Browndyke to take the lead. And it's good.
And we are live on the Jameson Daigle Show on a beautiful Wednesday afternoon. Does it get any better than that, guys? One of the greatest moments in LSU history. It never gets old for me. Seeing Hodson to Fuller on a fourth down, minute 47 to go. Auburn in the lead, 6-0. As we all know, LSU went on to win that game 7-6. But what really gets left in the mix, if you go back and actually watch the game and not the actual ending, is Hodson converted a 4th and 10, actually, from about the 30-yard line. Threw it to his tight end there right in the right flat. He catches it, makes about a 2 or 3 yard run, breaks a tackle, and then dives for the first down, which set up the Eddie Fuller play. That was the earthquake game, as it's known to LSU and Auburn fans. Thrill of victory, agony of defeat. That's just a typical game in this LSU-Auburn rivalry. We're going to be talking LSU-Auburn. I'm going to be breaking down this year's game. I'm going to tell you some interesting statistics. Get that out of my mouth. About the game and really kind of supports. To use recent history, supports both sides. Both sides, their support that both sides can win. Now, breaking it down and looking at keys of victory, breaking it down and looking at both teams, the strengths and weaknesses of both teams, and kind of taking a look at who I think is going to win, why they're going to win, and what to look for. What are we going to see Saturday night? Are we going to see LSU play a 4-quarter, 60-minute game? Are we going to see them close out? Are they going to play a first half? Does Auburn play a 4-quarter game? In both of these teams, they've kind of had, in a sense, similar seasons in that they've lost tight games. They've had a win against a much inferior opponent. Both wins came by 21 points or more. They had an SEC game that one could have won had they made some plays down the stretch, and the other one, had the game wrapped up, almost let it get away. So, and this is a game, guys, that is crucial to both teams. And in my opinion, crucial to both coaches. And I'm going to give you reasons why I think this is more than just a game, more than just a win for these teams. This is a battle for their coaches' jobs. That's my opinion. And we're going to get into that. But first, I want to get into my sounds of songs I usually do every day. Just talking about various sporting news. I've got some opinions on these stories. One thing that I definitely, sometimes I rant on things, which you're gonna have some of that a little bit today, but I do put the good stories, the acts of kindness, the motivational stories, bringing it together, all that good stuff. The first one I want to get to is recently, as we know, there was a bombing in New York. Fortunately, there were some people injured. But matter of fact, wasn't some. There's 25 people or more possible injuries that happened in a, I believe it was in the, in the subway, down by the subways. There were some bombs being strapped, and it looks like they went off, and luckily no one lost their life, but there were 25 injuries. Victor Cruz, again, who I think is an outstanding human being, stays out of the news as far as doing anything boneheadish, doesn't do any, just really gives back to the community, loves New York, always speaks positive of New York City, speaks out on different issues, but takes the high road on these issues. Well, Victor Cruz says how proud he is of the city of New York dealing with the bombing this weekend. Just kind of stating how New York always comes together in times of crisis. He was asked about the city's reaction to the attacks. And a quote from Victor Cruz was, "New York comes together each and every time something happens. I believe they did that again, and hopefully this never happens again. We've already dealt with more than enough pain and strife when it comes to terrorism." And New York has. All states are affected by terrorism in terms of their fellow brethren, and all are affected by different disasters. But New York seems to be the target, rightfully so, of terrorist attacks in the United States. They're constantly being attacked. Yes, we have one in Orlando. We've had some in California. We've had in different areas. But let's be honest, the ones that we do remember in New York on a larger scale. And it's the epicenter. It's the financial center of the United States. So there's a reason why it gets targeted. And it will continue to get targeted by these crazies. There's no doubt about it. But Victor Cruz, he knows about tragedy, obviously. He wasn't in the NFL on 9/11, but he lived only miles away from the World Trade Center. He has seen it as a non-NFL player, as an NFL player. But I like, what I do like is when athletes of influence come to the forefront in terms of doing things that pull cities together, doing things for the positive, doing things for the good. We all hear so much about athletes and what they do wrong, what they don't do. And we do, and I'll be the first to admit, yeah, we do capitalize on that. We go and we do reveal those stories. But also, I'm also one that likes to give athletes their due, their proper due, when they deserve it. I'm a fair guy. I mean, I pride myself in giving unbiased truth. So I'm going to tell you like it is, one way or another. And this is one thing I wanted to talk about. This, Victor Cruz getting together and embracing New York, and that's his city. And just rallying together, support one another, because that's what's key here. That is what's key. As we know in Louisiana, that was what's key in getting through these floods, is coming together, helping one another, being positive about the situation, not placing blame on anybody. And it's another example of we as a nation have to do something, whatever we have to do, when this does happen, to pull together, be there for one another. But we have to work, let's be honest, we have to work on prevention. I think too many times in society today, we're more reactive than proactive. And that's something that has to change. That was the issue in 9/11. That was the issue in these terrorists. I think we're underestimating, or we're not doing enough. Now you say, Jameson, but what do you do? And that's a true statement. You know, there are things you can do. There are things you can't do. There's got to be something in place where, and I'm glad I'm not in charge of it, because it's a big job to do. But guys, look, we have to do something to prevent this stuff from happening. It's just a must. I mean, it's been going on forever. And now it's becoming, to me, they're doing a new way of terrorism. They can't go through the airlines in terms of doing what they did in 9/11. But what they can do now is they go strap bombs. They go with AR-47 assault rifles, take the lives of Americans. And that's what their sole purpose is. Their sole purpose is, I'm going to take myself out to kill everybody else. And those are your most dangerous people that are willing to give their life to kill other people. And it's just a scary situation. And it's really scary when it doesn't surprise us. So something's got to be done. I just think security has been lax for so long that we've allowed evil into this country, because we're such a country that will accept anybody into the country to make a better life for themselves. Well, when do that, you're going to have some bad apples, and there are a lot of bad apples coming into this country. I guess the United States is going to have to do more extensive background checks. And some of these guys don't have a background to come to the United States because they don't have social security numbers. They don't have a past if they're from in the Middle East. There's nothing to go on. So it's tough. And when you can tell somebody, I can't find your past, so that must mean if you don't have a past and there's nothing I can get, I can't let you in this country. It's tough sledding to do. It's a tough job, but something has to be done. So hopefully we can get that done in the United States and make this place a better world. But kudos to Victor Cruz and him getting together and saying how proud he is of the city of New York, and that's his city. And Victor Cruz he's one of my favorite guys. Don't have him in fantasy football this year, speaking on a sports part, but he's just one of these guys that you like, these athletes that stay out of the news for the wrong reasons. So I'm glad to see Victor Cruz doing his thing. And some other news. How about my man, Julian Edelman? It must be a tough job when you play football for the Patriots, but then you got to go home to Adriana Lima, the beautiful Brazilian model, Victoria's Secret Brazilian model, man. I mean, that must be a tough job, huh? I got to go play football, but man, that's tough. I got to spend time with one of the most beautiful Brazilian models in the world. Edelman, I got to give you props.